let's now examine this 18th century pocket gazetteer. It's really almost a small atlas. It has the original vellum spine and the original 18th century hand-marbled paper-covered boards. It is, in fact, Lyon, France, 1783, like so. Geographie Universelle. And we'll see that the text block is slightly shaken. This is due in part to the construction of the book and in this binding. This almost certainly would not have been intended as the permanent binding for this book, but rather as probably a temporary binding. And so we see here, for instance, there is an advice to the binder at the rear for the placement of the maps throughout. And I'm going to now basically go through this and show you the maps that are within it. They're rather simplistic in their design, but they're still very interesting copper engraved maps. The first thing we'll notice here is that California is a prominent island on this sphere. And we see here this apocryphal river cutting all across the interior of Africa, which that's inaccurate. And we see that the coast, the entire east coast of Australia, is undefined, and as is Van Diemen's Island is not known yet whether it was attached or not to the mainland, so it's depicted only partially in outline. The next map we come to is this map of Europe. Some of these maps display a very interesting early repairs on the reverse, like this. They're mostly well done. It's interesting. It's very interesting because they reveal that someone long ago cared about this book enough to take the time to very carefully mend splits along the fold lines, which occur very often on maps that fold in books like this. These maps are all fairly uncommon individually. Here's a map of the Low Countries, Belgium, and the Netherlands. And the text, of course, is all in French. It's rather didactic, interesting. The book was intended for instructional purposes. And here we have Switzerland and Savoy. Yeah, northern Italy, so to speak, and a little part of France. Yeah, some of these signatures are gatherings of text leaves, are loose, but that's really not an issue in a binding like this, because, as I say, this was never intended to be the permanent binding, so it is, in fact, what's remarkable is that the work is complete. All the maps are here. That's the good news. And here we have the Rhine, Germany, Holland up here, and keep going. I want to try to catch all of them to show you, because the way that they fold in, it's possible I might miss one. Here's Italy, like so. Interesting sort of shape to the country there. Yeah, that's an uncommon map of Italy in and of itself. Curious to see if it was in Bori. It may not be. Here is Spain. Bori is the standard cartographic reference on the printed maps of Italy prior to 1800, with the book we refer to all the time. Here are the British Isles, 1744. So in this work, they're using maps from a much earlier date with a later title page. So these maps are basically appearing 40 years or so after they were first done. Here's Poland, again, an uncommon map of Poland. The engraver here is noted in each one of them. It's a very uncommon engraver as well. The name is very difficult to make out, but you can see it right there. Yeah. Okay, and the next one is basically Turkey and Europe, with the Balkans and coming across to Cyprus like so, and the Crimea there. And then we get to here, Greece. Yeah, there's the coast of Turkey right there. Okay. And then next is Asia. This is a very interesting map of Asia. Here we see this large outline, partial outline of the apocryphal Company land there. It's a very nice map in and of itself. Yes, that's a very interesting map of real interest to a collector of company land maps. Here is Turkey in Asia, so coming across to Armenia and Mesopotamia and Iraq and so on. Okay. And then we'll see next is Africa. It's a very interesting map as well. This giant river cutting all the way across a lake like so, and that another one here. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Then next is this very interesting map of the Americas. Look at this California as an island right there. That is prominent and very interesting indeed. Okay. All right. And I think that I have caught them all for you. After the index, what's interesting here is there is inserted this little handwritten section here, like so, that appears to be an early manuscript replacement for some text that just simply, I'm not sure exactly why this is here, but it's clearly been here contemporary with the book for a very long time. Yeah, it's just an interesting feature. This is one of the fascinating aspects of antiquarian books like this, is these sorts of mysterious things that are happening, going on with the book that displays the interaction of a person with the book as an object. And so there we have it. And this book is available now online from me, Brian DeMambro.